The paradox of affection, stoicism, psychology, and the enigma of distance in loving relationships. Have you ever found yourself caught in a painful paradox? You care deeply about someone, you invest your time and energy, you're the one who initiates contact, checking in first, always making the effort. Yet the more you try, the more distant they become. Hours turn into days, and you're left wrestling with doubt. Did I do something wrong? Why do they ignore me when I'm giving them my best? This experience, common as it is, cuts to the core of our human desire for connection and belonging. It challenges our assumptions about love, reciprocity, and the nature of relationships. Here's the harsh truth, the one that many are afraid to acknowledge. The one who loves you most often ignores you the most. This statement, seemingly contradictory, lies at the heart of a complex interplay of psychological factors and behavioral patterns. And it's not because they don't care. It's because human nature is wired this way. We are creatures driven by both a need for connection and an inherent self-preservation instinct. The dance between these two opposing forces often manifests in behaviors that are confusing, hurtful, and seemingly irrational. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology and Stoic wisdom behind this painful paradox. We'll explore the underlying reasons why this happens, and, more importantly, how to turn the tables, not through manipulation, but through a deeper understanding of yourself and the dynamics at play. By examining this phenomenon through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we can gain valuable insights into managing our emotions, navigating difficult relationships, and ultimately, finding peace and contentment within ourselves. This essay isn't about offering quick fixes or superficial strategies. It's about fostering a deeper understanding of human behavior, challenging our preconceived notions about love, and providing a framework for navigating the complexities of relationships with wisdom and resilience. The journey begins with an examination of the psychological roots of this paradox, exploring the ways in which our innate desires, fears, and insecurities can manifest in behaviors that push away the very people we care about most. Let's get started by unraveling the first thread, the paradox of familiarity, where distance breeds desire. 1. The paradox of familiarity, when proximity diminishes value and distance ignites longing. Imagine you've just bought your dream car. The first few weeks, you're obsessed with it. You clean it every day, you take it for drives at all hours, and you admire its beauty. But over time, it becomes just another item in your life. You no longer notice the shine, the leather seats, or the sleek design. This analogy, seemingly simple, encapsulates a profound truth about human perception. The initial excitement and appreciation that accompany novelty gradually fade as familiarity sets in. This is what happens in relationships. When someone is always there, you begin to take them for granted. You forget to value them because their presence is predictable. Familiarity breeds indifference. The very thing you cherish most can become invisible when you stop appreciating it. This phenomenon is not limited to romantic relationships. It applies to friendships, family ties, and even our appreciation for the things we own. The constant presence of something or someone can lead to a sense of complacency, where we no longer actively recognize their value or appreciate their contribution to our lives. The human brain is wired to prioritize novelty and change. We are constantly scanning our environment for new information, new experiences, and new challenges. This inherent drive for exploration and discovery can sometimes lead us to overlook the value of the things that are already present in our lives. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism becomes invaluable. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to be mindful of impermanence. He reminds us that life is fleeting, so we should never take people's presence for granted. By acknowledging that they could be gone at any moment, you'll learn to appreciate them more deeply. The Stoics believe that true happiness lies not in the acquisition of external possessions or the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, but in the cultivation of inner virtue and the appreciation of the present moment. By focusing on the inherent value of the people in our lives, rather than taking their presence for granted, we can counteract the tendency to become indifferent and cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude. This requires a conscious effort to cultivate mindfulness and appreciation. It means actively recognizing the positive qualities of the people in our lives, expressing our gratitude for their presence, and making a deliberate effort to nurture and strengthen our relationships. It's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have, and recognizing the inherent value of the connections we share with others. Furthermore, understanding this paradox allows us to be more mindful of our own behavior. Are we being too readily available? Are we stifling the natural ebb and flow of the relationship by being overly present? Sometimes creating a little space, allowing for a period of absence, can reignite the spark of desire and appreciation. It's not about playing games, but about recognizing the natural human tendency to value what is scarce and appreciate what is temporarily absent. 2. Love's silent language. Beyond words, the power of actions and unspoken affection. The way someone shows love isn't always how you expect it. Imagine growing up in a home where love was never verbalized, only shown through action. Your parents might have never said, "I love you," but they provided for you, cared for you, and supported you in silence. This scenario highlights a crucial point. Love is not always loud. It's found in the silence, in the unspoken gestures, in the acts of service that often go unnoticed. People express affection in ways they've been taught. For some, love is loud and expressed verbally. For others, it's quiet and manifested in practical ways. It's important to understand that someone's silence or distance doesn't always equate to a lack of love. We often assume that if someone truly cares, they will constantly express their affection verbally, showering us with compliments and declarations of love. However, this is a narrow and often inaccurate view of how love is expressed. Our upbringing, cultural background, and personal experiences shape the way we express and perceive affection. Some individuals are naturally more expressive, while others are more reserved. Some prefer to show their love through acts of service, such as cooking a meal, running errands, or offering practical support. Others may express their affection through physical touch, spending quality time together, or offering words of affirmation. Seneca wisely said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Instead of assuming someone doesn't care, take a step back and consider their background. Their way of loving might just be different from yours, and that's okay. Love, after all, doesn't have to make a sound to be meaningful. This requires a willingness to expand our definition of love and to recognize that there are many valid ways to express affection. It means being observant, paying attention to the subtle cues and gestures that may indicate care and concern, even if they are not explicitly verbalized. Furthermore, it's important to communicate our own needs and preferences in a clear and respectful manner. If we value verbal affirmations, we can express this to our partner without demanding or criticizing their behavior. The goal is to foster mutual understanding and to create a dynamic where both individuals feel loved and appreciated in their own way. This also calls for empathy and understanding. Consider that the person who loves you most but seems distant may have their own reasons for not expressing love in the way you expect. They may be insecure, afraid of vulnerability, or simply have a different understanding of what love means. Their actions, though seemingly distant, may be their best attempt at showing affection, given their emotional limitations. 3. The silent test. Distance as a gauge of emotional stability and self-worth. Sometimes the person who loves you the most may distance themselves as a test of your emotional stability. They may want to see how you react when they ignore you. Do you panic? Do you beg for attention? Or do you stay composed, unaffected by their silence? This concept, while potentially unsettling, reveals a common human tendency to test the boundaries of relationships and to assess the strength and resilience of our partners. Ignoring someone can be an unconscious way for people to gauge how strongly you value them. It's a test to see if your sense of self-worth is truly based on your own foundation, not their attention. This behavior is not necessarily malicious or intentional. It can stem from a variety of underlying motivations, including insecurity, a desire for reassurance, or a subconscious need to control the dynamic of the relationship. As Marcus Aurelius said, dwell on the beauty of life. Instead of wondering why someone ignores you, start building the life that makes you too fulfilled to care. When faced with someone's silence, don't let it disturb your peace. By remaining calm and unshaken, you show them that your worth is not dependent on their validation or love. This requires a deep sense of self-awareness and a strong foundation of self-worth. It means recognizing that your value as a person is not contingent on the approval or attention of others. It's about cultivating inner peace and contentment, finding joy and fulfillment in your own pursuits, and refusing to allow the actions of others to dictate your emotional state. This is a key principle of Stoicism, focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts and actions, rather than what you cannot, the thoughts and actions of others. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or uncaring. It means responding to the situation with wisdom and discernment, rather than reacting emotionally. It means setting healthy boundaries, communicating your needs and expectations assertively, and refusing to engage in manipulative or attention-seeking behavior. If you find yourself consistently subjected to these tests, it may be a sign that the relationship is unhealthy or unsustainable. In such cases, it's important to prioritize your own well-being and to consider whether the relationship is truly serving your best interests. Stoic philosophy also encourages self-reliance. While love and connection are valuable, the Stoics believed that true happiness comes from within. Therefore, someone distancing themselves can be an opportunity to strengthen your own sense of self and find satisfaction in your own pursuits, independent of the relationship. 4. Beyond constant reassurance, trust, security, and the strength of unspoken understanding. Ever been in a relationship where you feel the constant need to reassure the other person about your feelings? You may have found yourself repeatedly telling them you love them or proving it through actions. But have you ever stopped to wonder why this dynamic exists? This question cuts to the heart of a common relationship dynamic, the need for constant reassurance. The answer may lie in the fear and insecurity that underpin the relationship. People who constantly need reassurance are often afraid of losing the connection they have. But love, true love, doesn't need to be constantly confirmed. When you trust the relationship, there's no need for constant validation. This dynamic often stems from past experiences of betrayal, abandonment, or emotional neglect. Individuals who have been hurt in previous relationships may develop a deep-seated fear of being hurt again, leading them to seek constant reassurance from their current partner. Seneca teaches that true strength comes from within. If someone truly loves you, their actions will speak louder than their words. You shouldn't feel compelled to keep reminding them. The relationship should be based on trust, not on constant validation. This requires a shift in mindset from seeking external validation to cultivating internal security. It's about recognizing that your worth as a person is not dependent on the constant reassurance of others. It's about building self-confidence, developing a strong sense of self-worth, and learning to trust your own judgment. This doesn't mean becoming aloof or emotionally unavailable. It means expressing your affection and commitment in a genuine and authentic way, without feeling the need to constantly prove yourself or seek validation. Furthermore, it's important to address the underlying insecurities that may be driving the need for reassurance. This may involve seeking therapy, engaging in self-reflection, or working with your partner to address past hurts and build a stronger foundation of trust. The goal is to create a relationship where both individuals feel secure, loved, and valued, without the need for constant validation. The key is to foster open communication and create a space where vulnerabilities can be shared and addressed without judgment. The Stoics valued rationality and understanding the root causes of emotions. In this case, understanding why someone needs constant reassurance, whether it's from past trauma or insecurity, can help you approach the situation with empathy and find constructive ways to build trust and security in the relationship. 5. The shield of vulnerability. how fear of exposure can lead to emotional retreat. Have you ever noticed how the people who care for you the most can sometimes pull away when you need them most? This often happens because vulnerability can be terrifying. Opening up to someone means giving them the power to hurt you, and not everyone is prepared for that kind of exposure. This observation reveals a paradox of human connection. The very act of caring deeply for someone can also trigger a fear of vulnerability and a desire to protect oneself from potential pain. Sometimes the people who love you the most may retreat because they don't know how to handle their own emotional vulnerability. They fear they might hurt you or even expose their own weaknesses in the process. This fear of vulnerability can manifest in a variety of ways, including emotional distance, avoidance of conflict, and a reluctance to share personal thoughts and feelings. The Stoics believe that emotional resilience is key to growth. Vulnerability doesn't need to be feared, nor does it need to cause distance. It's important to recognize that being open and vulnerable is a strength, not a weakness. If someone pulls away, it's often their own fear and not a lack of love. This requires a shift in mindset from viewing vulnerability as a threat to recognizing it as an opportunity for growth and connection. It's about challenging the societal norms that often equate vulnerability with weakness and embracing the power of authenticity and self-expression. This doesn't mean becoming recklessly open or sharing every detail of your life with everyone you meet. It means being selective about who you trust and creating safe spaces where you can express your thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or rejection. Furthermore, it's important to cultivate self-compassion and to recognize that everyone has their own vulnerabilities and insecurities. Instead of judging others for their emotional defenses, we can approach them with empathy and understanding, recognizing that they're simply trying to protect themselves from potential pain. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should focus on what is within our control. We can't control whether someone else is afraid of vulnerability, but we can control our own reactions and choose to be understanding and supportive. This doesn't mean enabling unhealthy behavior, but it does mean approaching the situation with compassion and a desire to help the other person overcome their fears. 6. The walls of protection, fear-driven barriers in loving relationships. Sometimes the one who loves you most might seem distant because they've built emotional walls around themselves. These walls aren't meant to shut you out, but to protect their own vulnerabilities. This analogy highlights a common defense mechanism: the construction of emotional walls to shield oneself from potential pain. Fear of rejection, fear of being hurt again. These can cause people to pull away and create barriers, even in the most loving relationships. It's their way of shielding their emotions, not rejecting you. These walls can manifest in a variety of ways, including emotional distance, cynicism, sarcasm, and a reluctance to engage in deep or meaningful conversations. Seneca encourages us to be patient with others. Recognize that everyone has their own fears and insecurities. Instead of taking their distance personally, understand that they're simply trying to protect themselves. Approach them with empathy, not frustration, and you may be able to help them tear down their walls. This requires a willingness to be patient and understanding, recognizing that it may take time and effort for someone to dismantle their emotional defenses. It means creating a safe and supportive environment where they feel comfortable sharing their fears and vulnerabilities without fear of judgment or rejection. This doesn't mean tolerating abusive or disrespectful behavior. It means setting healthy boundaries, communicating your needs and expectations assertively, and refusing to engage in dynamics that are harmful or unsustainable. The key is to foster a sense of trust and security, demonstrating through your actions that you are a safe and reliable person who can be counted on to provide support and understanding. The Stoics emphasize the importance of virtue and leading by example. By embodying qualities like patience, understanding, and resilience, you can create a positive influence and inspire others to overcome their fears. This approach requires self-awareness. Recognize that you, too, may have built emotional walls in the past. Understanding your own defenses and working to dismantle them can make you more empathetic and better equipped to help others do the same. 7. The mirror of self-reflection, understanding distance through an inward gaze. When someone pulls away, it's easy to assume it's about you. Maybe you did something wrong, or perhaps they're just not that into you anymore. But have you ever thought about it from their perspective? This question prompts a crucial shift in perspective, from blaming oneself or the other person to understanding the situation from a more objective standpoint. Sometimes the person distancing themselves is simply going through their own personal challenges. It's not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of their need for self-reflection. Perhaps they need time to understand themselves better before they can offer you the best version of themselves. This requires a willingness to step back from the situation and to consider the possibility that the other person's behavior is not necessarily a reflection of their feelings towards you. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. Instead of reacting emotionally, take time to reflect on the situation with clarity and objectivity. Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer someone is the space they need to work on themselves. This doesn't mean ignoring the situation or condoning harmful behavior. It means responding with wisdom and discernment, recognizing that the other person may be going through a difficult time and may need space to process their emotions and work through their challenges. It's about setting healthy boundaries, communicating your needs and expectations assertively, and refusing to engage in dynamics that are harmful or unsustainable. The key is to cultivate self-awareness and to recognize that you're not responsible for the other person's actions or feelings. You can offer support and understanding, but you cannot force them to change or to behave in a way that you deem acceptable. The Stoic concept of amor fati, loving one's fate, is relevant here. Accept that you cannot control the other person's actions, and focus on how you can best respond to the situation in a way that aligns with your values and promotes your well-being. This may involve giving them space, setting clear boundaries, or even ending the relationship if it is no longer serving your best interests. 8. The spectrum of affection, recognizing selfish love and transactional relationships. Not every expression of love is pure. Some people love you not because of who you are, but because of what you do for them. They might only come around when they need something. This is a selfish form of love. This stark observation challenges our idealized notions of love and relationships, forcing us to confront the reality that not all affection is unconditional. It doesn't mean they don't care about you, but their love is contingent on their needs being met. Sometimes we expect people to love us selflessly, but the truth is many relationships are transactional, and while this may feel painful, it's a reality we must accept. Recognizing this type of dynamic is crucial for protecting our own emotional well-being and avoiding exploitation. Seneca reminds us that not all love is unconditional, and that's okay. Recognize selfish love for what it is. Don't invest too much of your energy into relationships where love is given only when it's convenient for the other person. This requires a willingness to be honest with yourself about the nature of your relationships. Are you consistently giving more than you are receiving? Are you feeling drained and depleted by certain individuals in your life? Are you being taken advantage of or manipulated? If so, it may be a sign that you are involved in a transactional relationship where love is contingent on your ability to meet the other person's needs. This doesn't mean cutting off all contact with these individuals, but it does mean adjusting your expectations and setting healthy boundaries. It means recognizing that their love is not unconditional and refusing to allow yourself to be exploited or taken advantage of. The key is to cultivate self-respect and to recognize your own worth. You deserve to be loved and appreciated for who you are, not just for what you can do for others. Focus on building relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and genuine affection. The Stoics valued wisdom and the ability to discern truth from falsehood. Recognizing selfish love for what it is allows you to make wiser choices about who you invest your time and energy in, protecting yourself from emotional harm. 9. The butterfly effect, the futility of pursuit and the power of attraction. Have you ever chased someone for their attention only to find them pulling away even more? This is the classic dynamic where the more you try to hold on to something, the more it slips through your fingers. This analogy highlights a fundamental principle of human attraction: the futility of pursuit and the power of allowing. It's the same in relationships. The harder you pursue someone for affection or validation, the more they may retreat. Think about a butterfly. If you chase it, it flies away, but if you sit still, it might just land on your shoulder. This seemingly simple observation encapsulates a profound truth about human nature. We are drawn to what is elusive and resist what is readily available. The harder someone tries to force a connection, the more likely we are to pull away. The law of reverse effort tells us that when we stop chasing, we make ourselves more valuable in others' eyes. Instead of chasing love, focus on yourself. Stoicism taught that self-control is the true power. When you stop seeking constant validation, you become someone who commands respect and admiration naturally. Those who are meant to be in your life will come to you. This requires a shift in mindset from seeking external validation to cultivating internal self-worth. It's about recognizing that your value as a person is not dependent on the approval or attention of others. It's about focusing on your own personal growth, pursuing your passions, and living a life that is both fulfilling and meaningful. When you radiate confidence, self-respect, and a genuine sense of purpose, you will naturally attract others to you. The key is to become the best version of yourself, not to try to force someone else to love you. Focus on cultivating qualities that you admire in yourself, such as kindness, compassion, honesty, and integrity. Pursue your passions, set ambitious goals, and live a life that is both exciting and fulfilling. When you are confident in your own skin, when you are driven by a clear sense of purpose, and when you have a life that is both exciting and meaningful, you will naturally attract others to you. 10. The wellspring within. The unconditional love of self as the foundation for all other affection. In the end, the most important form of love you can receive is the love you give to yourself. The love from others is wonderful, but it's not enough if you don't first value yourself. This profound statement underscores the importance of self-love as the foundation for all other forms of affection. When you love yourself, you become immune to rejection and disappointment. You no longer chase after others' approval because your sense of worth comes from within. This is the greatest power you can possess. The Stoics teach us that true strength comes from self-love and acceptance. This is not about narcissism or arrogance. It's about recognizing your inherent worth as a human being, accepting your imperfections, and treating yourself with kindness and compassion. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you master the art of loving yourself, you'll find peace regardless of how others treat you. This requires a conscious effort to cultivate self-compassion and to challenge negative self-talk. It means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend in need. It's about recognizing your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, and accepting yourself for who you are, imperfections and all. This doesn't mean becoming complacent or neglecting your personal growth. It means approaching yourself with kindness and understanding, recognizing that you are a work in progress and that you are deserving of love and compassion, even when you make mistakes. The key is to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external validation. This means focusing on your own personal growth, pursuing your passions, and living a life that is aligned with your values. When you love yourself, you are less likely to seek validation from others, less likely to tolerate mistreatment, and more likely to attract relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and genuine affection. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of virtue and living in accordance with nature. Loving yourself is not selfish. It is a virtuous act that allows you to approach the world with greater kindness, compassion, and resilience. Conclusion: wisdom, love, and the path to inner peace. The paradox of affection, where those who love us most may also distance themselves, is a complex and often painful reality. Understanding the underlying psychological factors and viewing this phenomenon through the lens of Stoic philosophy can offer valuable insights into navigating these challenges and finding inner peace. Remember, love is complex, but wisdom, that's simple. Choose peace, choose self-respect, and above all, choose yourself. By focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts and actions, by cultivating self-awareness, and by embracing the principles of Stoicism, you can navigate the complexities of relationships with greater wisdom, resilience, and compassion. If this essay resonated with you, consider exploring the teachings of the Stoic philosophers, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in self-reflection. The journey to understanding love and relationships is a lifelong pursuit, but it is a journey that is well worth undertaking. By embracing wisdom, self-respect, and a commitment to personal growth, you can create a life filled with meaningful connections and inner peace.